150-meter longline vessel pushes out before sunrise, heading for deep Atlantic grounds where giant swordfish hunt.
Once clear of land, steel and diesel trade sheltered channels for long swells and unseen pelagic predators. On deck, industrial longline hardware shows this is a commercial campaign, not a weekend sport trip. Heavy circle hooks wait on branch lines, sized to lock into hard swordfish jaws without tearing soft tissue. The crew walks the lines by hand, hunting for weak crimps before they ever meet a running swordfish. Tubs of oily bait sit ready, their scent soon drifting into blue water where billfish patrol. In the wheelhouse, the captain tracks current lines and temperature breaks where swordfish rise from deep water to feed.
This is pelagic gear, built to suspend baits in mid-water rather than scrape along the seafloor.
Bait is threaded carefully, every hook dressed with a clear target for anything cruising the thermocline.
The first weight and float disappear, fixing the starting point for kilometers of hooks suspended in blue water.
The main line feeds out steadily, each drop point calculated to keep hooks riding at swordfish cruising depth.
Soon, a staggered line of floats stretches behind the hull, each one hiding dozens of baited hooks below.
Before the soak, the captain walks through haul plans, knowing swordfish fights can last hours at the surface.
Below decks, coffee and small talk fill time while baits drift silently where giant swordfish may be cruising. Sleep comes in short stretches, broken by gear checks and the knowledge that any float could go tight. Above, the vessel rocks gently between floats, looking idle while steel and bait work quietly below. At each float, only a stick and flag show where hooks hang at the invisible level swordfish prefer.
Far below, a suspended wall of baits hangs in blue water as a single swordfish silhouette glides into view. The fish circles once, long bill and high dorsal fin cutting smooth arcs through the filtered mid-water light. In one clean surge, the bait disappears, and the circle hook rolls neatly into the hard corner of its mouth.
The swordfish turns hard, feeling resistance for the first time and driving its tail against the unseen pull.
A closer look shows the hook exactly where it should be, locked into bone at the jaw hinge, not tearing flesh. Instead of diving, it runs along the gear, using its streamlined body to put maximum pressure on the branch line. Along the set, only one section tightens, cutting across the lazy catenary curve of the main line. The swordfish edges higher in the column, drawn toward the surface by tension instead of curiosity.
Farther along, another swordfish materializes, drawn to an easy meal hanging motionless in mid-water.
It tests the bait with tiny adjustments of bill and body, gauging whether this suspended target is worth the effort. A second clean bite turns another bait into a solid connection, doubling the load that waits to be felt on deck. Now two swordfish pull against the same system, turning a static line into a live, shifting problem for the crew above. The fish tries to shake free, but the hook stays buried in bone, designed to dig deeper under steady pressure.
Gradually, both fish angle upward, dragging floats toward the surface and telegraphing the fight to the crew.
As line angle steepens, the sprint toward the surface begins, often the most explosive phase of a swordfish fight.
The first fish charges straight up, bill cutting a path toward pressure release and the thin skin of the surface.
Below it, the second fish banks wide, adding complex angles and unpredictable strain to the longline. Closer to the surface, their outlines sharpen, big sickle tails and long bills clearly visible in the thinning gloom. One fish rolls to the side, flashing metallic flank as it leans into the line like a sail. The circle hook sits exactly where designers intended, converting wild power into a stable connection.
The second fish joins the charge, turning forward thrust into an upward drive toward breaking waves.
Just beneath the chop, both bills now drive straight at the underside of the Atlantic's restless skin. At the surface, one float comes alive, knifing sideways and telling the crew a big fish is on.
Soon, several floats track under strain, forcing the captain to maneuver carefully along the loaded gear.
On deck, crew call out float positions, trying to read the tangle of angles created by two powerful fish. The hauler slows under strain, line creaking as it transfers the fight from mid-water to the rail.
At water level, one float bucks and lunges, pointing straight down at a swordfish digging in below.
Men clip into harness points and lean back, ready for the moment the first fish appeals in the wake.
Below the chop, a long, dark shape materializes, bill and high dorsal fin marking it unmistakably as swordfish.
Without warning, the swordfish erupts from the sea, launching beside the hull in a desperate bid to shake free.
It slams back down, line still tight, sending spray over the rail and confirming the hook is held.
At the controls, one man eases power, trading brute force for a steady, controlled grind on the fish. In the wake, the swordfish tail walks, burning precious energy in a short, vertical display of raw power.
Farther down the gear, a second swordfish explodes skyward, the float line snapping tight behind it. For a moment, the floats pull opposite ways, forcing the captain to choose which battle to close with first.
50 meters, float 3!
Crew call out float numbers and distances, narrowing the gap to the closer, more exhausted swordfish.
At last, it begins tight surface circles, a classic pattern as fatigue overtakes the early, explosive bursts.
One last jump throws its whole body clear, shorter and lower now, a final protest before giving ground to the winch.
At the rail, gloved hands grab the leader, switching the fight from hydraulics to human strength.
Looking straight down, the fish now lies broadside, its tail strokes slower, its options narrowing. A lifting strap slides into place, designed to hoist the fish without tearing flesh or bending bill. The crane takes the load, raising the swordfish in a clean arc from Atlantic swells toward wet steel deck.
Suspended over the deck, the fish finally stops fighting, its long bill pointing uselessly toward an open sea.
The strap eases down, setting hundreds of kilograms of fish onto rubber mats rather than bare steel. A hookout tool backs the circle hook from bone, ending the mechanical link between fish and gear. While one fish lies on deck, the second still throws itself free of the sea in raw, vertical leaps.
Exhausted, the second fish finally settles into surface circles, its dorsal fin carving repetitive tracks around the float.
Hauling continues, empty hooks piling up while the crew keeps one eye on the gauge spike from the second fish.
When it finally appears at the rail, the second swordfish shows the heavy, slow movements of a spent animal.
Voices rise over the winch as crew take the leader, knowing one mistake near that bill can be costly. Another strap goes on, spreading the weight and protecting flesh that will soon be worth serious money.
One final short leap throws spray over the strap, more defiance than real chance of escape now. Two swordfish now lie on deck, their size obvious against the men and hardware that brought them in.
Up close, the fish shows classic swordfish lines, dark back, bright flanks, and a long, straight bill built for speed.
A tape stretches from bill tip to tail fork, converting wild muscle into length and weight for the logbook. Tags tie each carcass to a specific section of line, giving regulators a clear map of where it came from. The crane lifts again, swinging the first fish toward the open hatch and the cold dark of the hold. Below deck, the fish settles into a furrow of ice, the first heavy body in a row that will grow through the trip.
Shovels bury the flank and tail under ice, locking in temperature for the long run back to port.
From above, the second swordfish fills the frame, its mass making the men around it look almost small.
Moments later, the second fish joins the first, forming a matched pair on ice deep in the hull. As sets stack up, the hold becomes a swordfish-only story, each carcass aligned for even chilling and counting.
With gear aboard and fish on ice, the bow swings toward land, ending this particular chapter of the hunt.
On deck, men rinse salt and slime from drums, checking lines scarred by fish runs and midwater debris.
Below decks, plates and coffee replace lines and hooks, but torque stays fixed on fish weight and weather changes.
In the hold, massive bodies lie still, each blade-like bill hinting at how hard they once ran in open water. The long ride-in begins, hull driving hard over waves, while chilled cargo rests in the darkness below.
Hours later, a faint line of land appears ahead, promising fuel, rest, and the rush of unloading.
One fish comes up again for dockside checks, its length and girth still impressive under harbor lights.
The swordfish boat slides into its berth, another industrial hull lining up with cranes and forklifts. Dock crews peer into the hold, seeing rows of swordfish backs half buried under frosted ice.
One by one, the big fish rise again, this time headed not for ice in the hold, but for scales and knives ashore.
Cranes swing pallets to concrete, where forklifts take over from winches and longline drums.
Labels and tags make it clear, this load is swordfish only, destined for specific markets and menus.
On the dock table, multiple swordfish lie in a line, their bills pointing toward a row of inspectors.
Inside the plant, whole swordfish arrive on steel rails, long bills and streamlined bodies leaving no doubt about the species.
Heads and bills come off first, stacked in separate bins, while bodies move down the line for filleting.
Cross-sections reveal thick, pale steaks with a darker center ring, unmistakably swordfish, and nothing like tuna or salmon.
Trimmers strip away skin and dark bloodlines, leaving clean, firm loins ready for steaks and portions.
Steaks stack up in neat rows, each one thick, light-colored, and unmistakably swordfish in texture.
Vacuum bags reveal pale steaks inside, each pack labeled with species name, area, and a traceable code.
Pallets roll into a reefer truck, handing swordfish from processors to cold chain crews guarding temperature and timing.
At a city hub, swordfish cartons occupy their own zone, logged and tracked alongside dozens of other species. From the warehouse, select cartons peel off toward restaurants where swordfish appears only in small, expensive portions.
In the kitchen, a chef inspects the steak, seeing firm, pale flesh ready for a very different kind of heat.
Seasoning stays simple, built to highlight the mild flavor instead of hiding it behind heavy sauces.
On the heat, swordfish takes on grill marks quickly, while the interior stays moist and light in color.
Plated simply, the steak looks clean and solid, a longline caught predator turned into a single serving.
Servers weave through the dining room, carrying dishes whose story began far beyond city lights.
Here, taste this bite I was telling you about.
That is absolutely divine.
I told you the chef outdid himself tonight.
In the kitchen, the night ends with numbers. Kilograms used, portions sold, and stock held for tomorrow.
The dining room returns to quiet order, its link to longlines and storm swell invisible again.
Back at the quay, the swordfish boat rests, its decks washed and its hold empty of fresh catch.
The harbor glows under sodium lamps, hulls lined along concrete like parked tools waiting for the next job.
Beyond the breakwater, the ocean looks clean and empty, hiding everything that still swims beneath.
Far offshore, the grounds where hooks were set show no sign of lines, floats, or struggling fish.
In the depths, nothing breaks the blue. No gear, no steel, just empty water where swordfish still travel unseen. Small swells roll steadily on, indifferent to which predators have been taken and which remain.
At the horizon, sea and sky meet in silence, framing a connection between ships, markets, and unseen migrations.
Sunlight flickers off the surface, erasing every trace of the Longline campaign that passed through here.
The hunt for giant swordfish ends here for now, but the ocean and its unseen currents keep moving without us.